Dear colleagues, good afternoon. We're going to continue our work, and then we're going to talk about the new film, the movie, which was created together with the art workers with the support of the Minister of Defense and General Staff. And now we're going to have the announcement of the film, which is entitled Raid. Oleksiy Makuhin, who is the advisor to the Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Kavatsyuk, who is the advisor to the Chief of General Staff. They're going to talk, and the director of this movie, and they're going to talk about the idea and the creation of that. Just a few introductory words. In fact, well, once we remember that August of last year was quite a complicated time, and for over 2.5 months, by that time we had the active phase of the entire terrorist operation, which was rather successful. Let's say 60% of the territory was liberated from the militants, and in fact our troops gradually acquired the skill and the combat skill, and quite a few fighters were involved. In August, this grouping was more than 132,000 and actually increased their capability in order to win a victory. But on the part of the Russian Federation, the militants, they did the same, and their forces, let's say 1-to-1 ratio between their troops and ours. We had specific plans how to complete ATO by mid-September. However, the invasion of the Russian troops on August 25th last year actually frustrated our plans, and actually we as a country and the ATO forces, we encountered a number of challenges. And this film tells you how we took care of those challenges. And one of the key tools or instruments to resolve that problem, or the problems actually which the Russian Federation is associated with, will be told in more details by colleagues. Some of the events of those days, and we're talking about August, September 2014, well known, and some of them are not so well known. And though we are talking about the military operations, which today are being studied, the modern top armies of the world, and we actually shot this movie about those events. It's not completed yet; it's still under the process of being created, and we planned the first show in several weeks from now, somewhere in September this year. And equally, the information about the situation available those days as a result of invasion of the Russian troops. One of those who was most probably hit were the mobile paratrooper forces of Ukraine, the aerial troops. And the film tells mostly about them and about how we managed to rescue, or to say, maybe I could say Ukraine. We managed to save Mariupol and to stop the onslaught on Kharkiv. Just, speaking about what this film all about the raid operations, and one of those, as the previous speaker says, are unique. One of those raids has been recognized by the international military experts as the longest military raid in the history of humankind, generally speaking. And owing to those raids or those unique military operations, we managed to stop the Russian aggression. I would like to offer to you to watch a small trailer to that movie, and maybe after that we can take your questions. Yeah, this is kind of the preliminary material work in trailer, so to say, because we continue to work on that.
August 2014, the most complicated stage of juxtaposition with the Russian mercenaries and Russian army, the most powerful blow fell on Ukrainian commandos. They had the tasks that were almost impossible to perform, however, not for paratroopers. The history of military art does not have such long raids. The first part of the corridor was made by the commandos from the 25th Brigade. All those units of the enemy were destroyed, and we went to the southern suburbs of Shakhtarsk. And then the fighters of the legendary 95th Brigade. There's no notion of neighbor to the left or neighbor to the right. There was encirclement for 360 degrees. We came back from the raid. Sergei became commander of the brigade, and they had only 5 wheels intact out of 8. The commanders did not think about them when they had to save 3,000 lives while forcing the Meuse River. The place was constantly under barrage from the Russian Federation. In the night from 24th to 25th August, 4,000 fighters of the regular Russian troops invaded our territory without proclaiming war. We took captive 2 officers from the Pskov Commando Brigade. There was Ilovaisk tragedy, however, there were even more dangers, the seizure of Mariupol and the opportunity to attack Kharkiv. In fact, we didn't have combat-ready troops up to Odessa and Kiev. How it happened so that the Russian offensive folded and they had to go to the negotiation tables? The matter was that Russians sustained heavy losses. They lost many people killed and even more wounded. The details of heroic military operations that saved Ukraine. Of course, we are talking about the fact that they were not invited here. The hellish summer of 2014 in the film Raid. We can tell a bit about some details. As you've seen, this is a documentary, and partially this is a reconstruction, and within the film we're talking with all the commanders of the brigades. Maybe Oleksiy will tell us more. You've probably seen in the trailer, this is just a third of characters to whom we talk, because we want to reconstruct these events in detail with all the participants from different kinds of troops. We also linked with American experts. We had an opportunity to talk to them. This is the former soccer Wesley Clark, who even ran for the presidency of the USA, and we have talked to Philip Carver, one of these days, a military expert who researches all modern combat, and he generalizes this experience, and he advises the Academy of the General Staff of the U.S. and other educational establishments in the U.S. We plan a lot of trips. You understand that commandos are an elite of our war troops, and they are always on the front line, and they have always to be in full or even heightened battle readiness, because they react to everything. If any tragedy happens, they are sent there. So for us, the biggest complication is to grab them while they have free time. And probably this is the biggest complication while working on this film. Any questions, we will be ready to answer.
Please, your questions to the speakers, if there are any. I have some of the clarifications. The exact date for the first show is not established or determined yet. Well, after what Oleksiy has said, we indeed have to take care of some of the interviews, and because those people are still continuing to fulfill their duties, and they do not have real time to. Now, for those interviews, we try to somehow to plan our interviews with taking into account their time bracket. Well, speaking about we are going to show that in the movie theaters. Now, this is the kind was meant for the TV, where we're going to have this presentation. I mean, this specific event. Maybe it will be the same as with the airport film. We'll do that in the theater, but we are talking about the format. We were thinking about this TV format. So can we say that coming back to the airport a film that would be kind of simultaneous demonstration different TV channels, or it's too early to talk about that? Well, actually, we hope that this will be the case. That was the case for the first time in the TV channel. Support was greatly, and I believe that this will be the case this time as well. When you started to work on this movie, can we talk about some figures? How many interviews have you taken? How many hours you spent or days, and how many heroes you interviewed already? The number of heroes, if you're talking about that, today, let's put it this way, we already interviewed 10 heroes. We mean different commanders of brigade, deputy commander, commander of paratroopers, and the American experts, and the head of the paratroopers communications department, the head of the medical unit. Then we plan to and participate in those races were not only paratroopers, but there will be there was another mechanized brigade battalion, and together with the paratroopers they trailblazed, so to say, the territory, and they covered more than 100 kilometers in action. There is a big number of people who plan to interview, and we start the active phase of work in this film in the beginning of August, when we actually had an approximate idea, started to develop that, to elaborate on that, and a big interview of the Chief of Staff. You watch that in our trailer. He actually explained the content of the situation. Well, in those days, we can talk about that more specifically now. But the dangers they faced was huge. There was threat of, let's say, of capturing Mariupol, and then they breaks through to Kharkov, and then to Kiev. Are you going to shoot some other films dedicated to other special operations? Yeah, we do hope that this will be the case. We can see that there is a great demand for that in the society. We have to talk about that, and many films are being made or shot by many other studios and TV channels. This is a must, to do something like that, because we are talking about the events. Just to say that it's a heroic efforts means to say nothing, but those are new events. When we communicate with the experts, Wesley Clark, Philip and Clark Brown, they all say or know that unfortunately, but Ukraine has a unique military experience which is not available to any other army in the world. This is the experience associated with the 1 year hybrid war, which is really unique. Just to echo what has been said, we are going to talk about some other films. As Mr. Zabrowski, the former commander of the paratroopers, in those days he was the commander of the 95th Brigade. He would be with pleasure, would actually give away his hero, the star of the hero, in order that we did not have the events for those films. We would like to get back to the peaceful life, to let's say, to go in for sports and write the books. So that those events were kind of post factum for events that we never had in the future, such events. Do you plan some kind of, let's say, translating and then make the foreign language let's say, dubbing. Yeah, we are going to then have the English language dubbing, as it was the case with the airport film. If there are no more questions, thank you very much, Sim Collins. We will be looking forward to the date when you're going to have the first show of this movie, and let's hope that we'll have more pleasant and joyful events ahead of us. Next briefing